What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 6, Episode 9, Ready to Pop Off. So it starts off with Marcel and Leticia. They are packing up because they're going to temporarily be moving out of their little temporary house to an apartment because they're getting their temporary house renovated or fixed up or something. And in the meantime, they're still waiting for Scott's Manor to break ground. So it's going to take another 2 to 3 years before Scott's Manor gets. I have completely forgotten about Scott's Manor, completely forgotten about it. They have not broken ground. There's nothing started. It's still woods out there, trees and grass, just nothing cleared. I don't know what's going on, but one thing I do know, I do believe that eventually at some point in this lifetime, we are going to see Scott's Manor, because what I learned from Sheree Whitfield, it might take a lifetime, but that house is going to get built. So I think the same thing is going to apply to the Scotts and Scott's Manor. So Marcel was telling Leticia about the meeting that he had with Tiffany and Martel. And the way that he was telling Leticia about the things that Tiffany had said, I was just like, wow, this is a grown man who's getting this giddy and excited about some female gossip. It just really blew my mind, because I just was like, why? Okay, it's one thing to tell Leticia about what happened. It's another thing to do all the faces and the characters and all the animation and the dramatics. Like, he was basically like peeing in his pants. He was so excited to tell Leticia about, and Tiffany said this and Tiffany said that. And I was just like, oh my God. So then while we put that to the side, we'll move on to Tiffany and Lewis. So Tiffany comes home from her meeting with Martel, and, of course, she's going to make sure that she talks to her husband before Martel gets to him. And she tells her husband what happened at the meeting and all the things that Martel had confronted her about. And she did confess to Lewis that she did have a conversation with Sheree about her relationship with Martel. And she does tell Lewis that she asked Sheree, so how does it feel like to date a cheater? So in the midst of all of this, I'm just like thinking to myself, you started the mess. Okay, Tiffany, you started the mess by approaching Sheree. And now that you've seen what a problem you've caused, now you're going to run to your husband, because you weren't running to your husband before. You didn't run it by Lewis. Hey, what do you think about if I approach Sheree and ask Sheree very intimate questions about her relationship with Martel? You didn't bother talking to Lewis then. But now that you've seen that you are in some deep trouble with Martel and Sheree and maybe the rest of the group, now you're running to your husband. You're needing his protection, and you're going to paint this story of, I was approached by these two men, and they were attacking me, and I felt so attacked, and they were calling me a Karen because I'm half white. So of course she's going to spin it to where her husband gets extremely pumped up, extremely upset, because these two men, cornered his poor pregnant wife in a dark alley and accused her of all kinds of things, and were calling her out of her name. So now Lewis is ready to go punch somebody. So, moving on from there, Kimmy. So she is cleared for radiation. Her and Maurice are driving somewhere. They're in the car driving, and I think they're driving to the hospital. So she's been cleared for radiation, and now they talk about their intimacy. And they talk about how Kimmy has just been putting out because she knows that that's what her husband wants, even though she is not in the mood. She hasn't been in the mood ever since she's been through this battle, and she just does it to appease him. And he didn't know, because she was putting on a really good performance and faking it. He had no idea that she was just trying to do her wifely duties, nothing more and nothing less. He thought that she had wanted it as much as he did, and coming to realize, no, she didn't want it at all. She was just trying to make him happy. I'm wondering if she was, just trying to keep him home, well, if I don't give it to him, he might go find it somewhere else. So no matter how sick I am, I'm still going to have to give it to him. I wonder if it was a situation like that. But anyway, so Maurice feels really offended because he's like, well, I don't want you to do it if you're not in the mood to do it. And so she's like, well, do you want to get my Oscar worthy performance, even though it's fake? Or do you want to just go completely without? completely without for who knows how long. And so you just better take the lesser of the two evils. And so I'm listening to this conversation, and then this carries on to when she meets up with her friend in another scene, her friend Andrea, and she's telling Andrea how she hasn't been feeling attractive, she hasn't been feeling in the mood, and she's just doing it just to do it, just to keep him happy because she knows what kind of a husband she has. You know, his libido and his drive is extremely high, it's through the roof, and so she's got to do something to keep this man happy. And you know, and I'm listening to this and I'm like, wow, Kimmy, you have a lot going on. I would never think that a person who is fighting for their life, literally fighting for their life, and the constant worries that must be going through her head regarding her health and her longevity, that on top of all of that, you still got to worry about meeting this man's needs. And I'm thinking that should be the last thing on your mind, because he can, help himself to some self-help. That's the beauty of it all. Why can't he just go do some self-help instead of, putting his wife through this? I'm not saying that he's forcing her, because obviously he's not forcing her, but I'm just thinking to myself, this is an issue on top of everything else y'all got to worry about. This is an issue for y'all. Y'all are really having this conversation right now about this, because I would think that, number one, she would be like preoccupied and stressed out about her health. I'm thinking that he would also be preoccupied and stressed out about her health, that whether or not they have relations would be like the last thing on either one of theirs mind, but it's still a priority for him. He's like, okay, I know you got cancer, I know you're going through a lot, but this is what I'm still expecting from you. And I'm thinking to myself, am I really watching this? And for her to have that, what really angered me was that she was actually feeling guilty about it, feeling like I still need to, give him what he needs, even though I'm going through what I'm going through. I still got to make sure that he's I was like sickened by this. I really was. I was really, really sickened by this, because this is not a normal situation of her just having low libido just to have low libido. Because, sometimes, you go through that for whatever reason. It's just not what it used to be, right? And maybe you do got to fake it. Maybe you do got to put out when you don't feel like it. But she's going through this because normally her libido is probably just the size his is. But because of what she's going through, that's been affected with the medication and the whatever she's going through. That has been affected when you go through cancer treatment. And you would think that he would give her a break. Moving on. We're finally at Tiffany's damn baby shower. So it starts off with, you got your core group sitting at the table. It's Leticia. It's Stormy and Courtney. It's Nell and Chris. What's her name? Fletcher. Nell and Chris Fletcher. So they're sitting at the table at the baby shower. Oh, and we also have Kimmy and Maurice. So Leticia is telling everybody at the table about the conversation she had with her husband regarding Tiffany and all the crazy, wild things that Tiffany had said to Sheree and what happened at the meeting with Tiffany and Martel. And so everybody's shocked that Tiffany was stooped that low and, would get involved in something that had nothing to do with her. And so while they're having this conversation, Melody shows up and she joins them at the table. Now, Nell Fletcher, who seems like she's also fighting for a spot on this show because she's bringing the drama. She brought the drama at the damn tea party. She got it on and popping at the tea party when she had asked if there was any kind of tension going on between Melody and Stormy. So she got things started over there. Now here she is. So they're talking about Tiffany and Martel and Sheree and all of that. So when Melody shows up, the table got quiet. But leave it to Nell Fletcher to get it on and popping again. So Nell Fletcher says, well, are we going to have this conversation while Melody is here? So, of course, now Leticia feels the pressure to tell Melody what they were talking about. So she tells Melody, we were talking about what Tiffany had said, and we didn't want you to feel uncomfortable. And Melody is so good at just all of a sudden her face goes completely dead, showing no expression. She's really good at that. When she gets kind of like put on the spot, her expression completely changes as if there's like nothing going on. Her whole expression just goes blank. And so she's like, well, she's looking around, no expression on her face, not showing anger or curiosity or nothing. And she goes, well, there's nothing anybody can say that can make me feel uncomfortable. And so then Nell says, well, did you hear what Tiffany asked Sheree? And basically, she asked her if her candy is so good, and if that's what's making Martel stay with her. And Mel gave no response, dead expression on her face, not giving anything away of what she's feeling or what she's thinking, nothing. And so this is when she decides to go get something to eat. She's like, well, I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna go get me a plate. So she didn't respond. She gets up, she gets her food, she comes back. So then Stormy says, well, did y'all hear about the other part? They said that you were a fan of Sheree and that you drove all the way to wherever just to take a picture with her because you were such a fan. And I'm like, wow. The way Stormy said it, it was like she wanted Melody to feel bad. Because we know damn well that Melody is not a fan of Sheree. I can't see Melody really doing that because Melody thinks that she makes the world go around, right? She's the one that everybody should be a fan of. So I cannot see at all Melody waking up one morning and like, oh, Sheree is in whatever city. I'm going to grab my son and we're going to go drive all the way over there. Hopefully I can take a picture with her. I don't see Melody acting like that. But Stormy wanted to kind of take a dig at Melody and said, well, did you hear the other part? Because they said that you're a fan and that you drove all the way to such and such city just for a picture. And so Melody said that she was in that city. I think it was Birmingham or something. She goes, yes, I was in Birmingham, but I was in Birmingham for an event. I was the keynote speaker for such and such event, some type of natural hair event. And yeah, I met her and I only met her one time. Melody admitted to nothing. She wasn't going to talk about, yeah, I took a picture. Yeah, I stood in line for 6 hours for an autograph because she was doing a book signing. None of that. She was like, yeah, I happened to be in there because I was doing my own damn thing. I was making my own money in that city that particular day. And she happened to be in that same city. And I met her and I only met her that one time. So then when Martel showed up, of course, Melody left. So Big Lou takes Martel and he wants to talk to Martel outside. Martel, of course, he needs backup. So he drags Marceau out there. So Big Lou addresses these two men about what his wife came to him about. And Big Lou's whole thing was, if he had an issue with my wife, and I'm not saying that my wife was right or wrong in what she did, but if he had an issue with her, why didn't y'all come to me? And Martel's whole thing was, why would I have to come to you when I was already meeting with her? She was already sitting at the table next to me and I could have just addressed it right then and there. Why would I have to wait and come to you? It wasn't like, I sought her out and I approached her somewhere and was like, hey, let me talk to you about what you said to Sheree. We were already in a meeting about something else. And I just happened to also bring up what's been bothering me. So Big Lou is still kind of like, I don't care. It don't matter. You should have come to me. That's my wife. And the next time I'm going to come to your wife if I have an issue with your wife. And so it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So Maurice can hear their voices rising from inside the baby shower. So he comes outside to kind of like make sure that nothing gets out of hand. So while Big Lou and Martel are going back and forth, Big Lou is like poking at Martel's shoulder. And so that's when, and Martel grabbed his hand and he was like, you don't got to do that. And that's when Maurice had to step in and get in between them. But it wasn't going to go nowhere. So Marcel is there making stupid remarks, especially when the whole Karen thing came up. So Big Lou asked, "Did you call my wife a Karen? And what is a Karen?" He wants to pretend like he don't know what a Karen is. So I think he wanted to pretend that he didn't know what a Karen was because he wanted to hear from them exactly why would they call his wife that? What did it mean to them for them to call his wife that? I think that's why he acts like he didn't know what it was. Because his wife made it seem like it was a race thing, because Karens are known to be normally white women who get involved in situations that got nothing to do with them, and they create a scene, and next thing you know, they want to call the cops on you because you're minding your own business, and they want to step in your lane, and then they want to cause a ruckus, and then they call the police, right? Even though they're causing the problem. So, and it's usually, even though Karen can be used for any race, it started from white women getting involved with other people's business. So Tiffany was like, "Oh, why are you calling me Karen? Because I'm half white." So that's how she presented it to her husband. So Big Lou wanted to know, when you called her that, was it a race thing? I think that's what he was implying. So what did it mean to you to call her a Karen? And so Marcel was like, "Well, you know what a Karen is. You know what a Karen is. They get involved in other people's business." And basically that's all it was. It had nothing to do with race. It was just the fact that she was getting involved in other people's business. So Lou tried to defend his wife and say, "Well, Tiffany's all about family and blended families coming together." Of course, Marceau and Martel were like, "Bump all that. We don't believe it. She was just trying to be messy." So Lewis says in his confessional that this has got nothing to do with Marceau, because Marceau was just being silly. He thinks that there's a big fight that's about to happen. He's happy that he's not involved for once, that this drama's got nothing to do with him and his infidelity rumors. He's so relieved that he's not the center point of this fight, and he's just being silly. He's in the background just being so silly. And so Big Lou says in his confessional, "I don't even know why Marceau was there, because that had nothing to do with him." Exactly, Big Lou. Just like Sheree and Martel's relationship has got nothing to do with Tiffany, and Tiffany still involved herself in it. So Lou says that, okay, so then they go, said Martel, okay, so we talked about that, how Lou was like, "You shouldn't have come to my wife, you should have come to me first." Martel says, "I came to your wife respectfully because she was already there." Lou said, "Number one, you shouldn't talk to her directly because she was pregnant. Number two, she's a female." Okay, but this pregnant woman started this because your girl Kiki said, Kiki said, "If this pregnant woman's gonna bring it, if she's gonna start it, I'm gonna finish it." Okay, so it don't matter that she's pregnant, because when she's up there causing mess and starting issues with people and asking inappropriate questions to people that she don't even know, she's still pregnant at that time, right? She's still pregnant then. When she approached Sheree, she was pregnant. She knew she was carrying a baby, but she thought that she could, start this drama, start this mess to secure her damn spot on this damn show. So miss me with the whole she's pregnant. Okay, because if she was really concerned about the well-being of her child and where all of this was going, she would have kept her mouth shut. Miss me with the fact that she's a female, because females can cause problems too. Now, if you have an issue with Martel talking to your wife about this, I can halfway agree with you on that, because I'm not like 100% sold on this whole thing about how a man cannot approach a woman if the woman was the one that started the problem. If she's the one that started the problem, now she didn't bring this to Martel, she brought this to Sheree, but Sheree brought it to her man. Okay, Sheree brought it to her man, and her man had to deal with it. He had to fix it because his woman isn't happy. So I don't have an issue with Martel directing it to Tiffany. I didn't see anything wrong with Martel talking to Tiffany. I think Marceau should have seen his way out. I think Martel should have excused Marceau, because you don't need backup when you're trying to have a conversation with a female, especially a pregnant one. You don't need backup for that. So Marceau should have been long gone by the time he began talking to Tiffany about this whole situation. But I don't have a problem with Martel approaching Tiffany directly. Now, in a way, I kind of see Big Lou. He felt like his wife was being attacked because he wasn't there. So he don't know exactly how hard they went on Tiffany, or not. He don't know. He's just going to take his wife's word that she felt some kind of way having these two men, started throwing all these questions at her, started accusing her of all this stuff, she felt some kind of way about it. And she's telling her husband how she felt. And he is going to react. So he's okay with I'm fine with him reacting that way. And I'm fine with him wanting to protect his wife. I'm fine with that because he doesn't know, exactly how it went down. He's only getting the version from his wife. So I have no issue with that. But this should teach Tiffany a lesson. Stay out of other people's business, please. Martel and Sheree and Melody and how they're handling that whole situation, stay out of it. It don't got nothing to do with you. You're having a whole baby. Okay, that should be enough to kind of somewhat secure your spot on this show. You don't have to start unnecessary drama. Now, you can contribute to drama that's already going on. You can contribute to it, but don't start stuff that's got nothing at all to do with you. So at the end of it all, the guys made up. Okay, because you know how men are. They're not going to stay mad at each other for long. They get over it really quickly. And they hug it out. And they all agree that Tiffany does need to apologize to Sheree, at the very least, to Sheree. And Martel says to him too. And then Marceau made his stupid remark. He was like, yeah, she got to apologize to me too because it happened in my establishment. Anywho, so Big Lou agrees. Yeah, Tiffany's going to have to do some apologizing. So we're fine with that. So he goes back inside the baby shower and Tiffany is having some type of a health crisis. She's feeling some type of pain or contraction. She's feeling dizzy. She's seeing stars. And so they have to, I'm assuming, either they call 911 or he ended up taking her to the hospital. From what it looked like with, I think the teaser that they showed us for next week, I think he ends up taking her to the hospital or something. I don't know, but she's having some type of crisis. So, if she really is having a crisis, I hope that everything is going to be okay with her and the baby. If she's putting on a show because she's trying to distract everybody from her bad behavior, I'm like, girl, you better act like you're about to have that bad. You better fake some contractions to distract everybody from what's really going on here. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later.